Caleb.
Oh, all right.
Yep.
Is he ready?
Ready?
Okay, welcome everyone to the town of I'm going to open the meeting for the town of Harwich Board of Health for Tuesday, March 21st, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. in Harwich Town Hall, Don B. Griffin Room. Welcome. All right, public comment.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you for having me. Patrick Otten. I live in East Harwich. So as you are well aware of the fertilizer issues for the town, you dealt with that in 2021 and had to rescind your actions because you don't have the authority to set fertilizer regulations. So I'm following in the footsteps of both Nantucket and Orleans, asking the state legislature for home rule ability for Harwich to set their own regulation, and it will be prohibiting the application of fertilizers in the town of Harwich except for the purposes of commercial agricultural and residential use of organic fertilizer with low nitrogen and low phosphorus for the use in growing fruits and vegetables. Okay? So, and that's what I've given you. I've given you a flyer on that. The article that I've submitted is a direct copy of what Orleans submitted, which is a direct copy of what Nantucket's acted on, okay? So I'm here just to bring it one more time in front of the board. Number one, I need support and help on this because I'm only me. I'm not a board. I'm not the select board. So I'm going to be asking for help. And ideally, yes, it'd be wonderful to have a letter saying the Board of Health supports this effort. If not, give me your feedback, give me your comments so that I can move forward and hopefully have this pass in town meeting May 1st.
Okay, since it's a public comment, we can't discuss this.
Yeah.
So-
May I be put on your agenda for discussion? May 1st is the town meeting.
All right, we'll take a look at it. I'll have to see what it's going to be like for April.
Yeah,
All
okay,
right,
okay.
all right.
So,
Thank you.
my name and number's on this. If you can reach out and with suggestions, that'd be wonderful. The other, on the backside, is a citizens petitions for prohibiting the distribution, use, and sale of balloons in Harwich. Again, that's a direct copy of what already exists in Chatham and in Orleans. So I'm simply copying existing actions that have already taken place. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate your help. Thank you.
Sure. Can you please sign in when you come in? Okay, minutes. You guys take a look at the minutes. All right. Any motion?
A motion to pass?
I mean, I wasn't here last week. I don't feel like I can vote on accepting the
All
minutes.
right, okay, all right, you make a motion, I'll second it.
I was legitimately sick last month, I'm sorry.
You want to continue the minutes to,
We might have to do that, because we won't have a quorum for that. All right,
Yeah.
we'll continue the
And
minutes
just,
Yep.
for April. Okay. Okay, the next thing is the Board of Health work session on the COVID update, and we'll give that over to Carrie.
so the town of Harwich has seen a total of 2,775 reported cases of COVID so far. We've had 61 deaths to date. The total of March has 12 reported cases so far. That's down from the 41 cases in February. Our 14-day average is 4.8 out of 100,000 residents, where the state is 28.6 out of 100,000 residents. I know that little statistic was missing from your report, but the percent positivity is 5.53%. We have 458 patients. We're primarily hospitalized in all of Massachusetts and 58 in the ICU. 8 of those patients were intubated, and that's across the state, not just the town of Harwich. To date, we have 11,135 of our 13,440 full-time residents fully vaccinated, and 7,690 have at least one booster dose. So overall, people are getting vaccinated and numbers seem to be dropping at a current trend.
I just have one question, and it's not in here, and you don't have to have it off the top of your head. The outbreak in the nursing home that we had here, wasn't it in Harwich?
That may have been something Katie was working on before she left for maternity leave. I can look into that and
All right.
provide an update for the
I was just
board.
wondering where we stand with that, what was
Yep.
happening. Anybody else?
No comment?
Next is the old business, and we're going to be, again, those on tips. Okay, we're going to discuss the tobacco regulations, and I'm going to open it up to the board first to go over the changes that we made and whether we want to do any more, and then when that's finished, I'll open it up to the public. All right, did you guys look at this?
I did. When I took a look at the draft that was in our packet, the couple issues that I had, one of which I see was clearly addressed already in this new revised edition. It was the statement of purpose, and it was just whereas, but I felt there was no statement at the end. But that was caught, and there is at the end, it says, now therefore it is the intention of Harwich Board of Health to regulate the sale of tobacco products. That was missing from the draft that we were given. So that being all fine and done is great. I did have a couple other things that I highlighted here. As I have said before, I feel like at least the responsible sale of tobacco products should be allowed within the town. I do have a problem with the maximum number of tobacco product sales permits being capped at 14. And the problem I have is that if licenses are lost, that number will continue to go down until it's reduced to 0. It's explicitly expressed in our bylaws for that. I have a problem like that. I don't have a problem with it coming down less than 14, but I would like to see maybe a cap somewhere around 10. I mean, that's a loss to the town. If people are gonna be responsible about selling it, I mean, I don't think we're gonna stop anybody from smoking. So why are we gonna ban the sale of it within the town when there are people in this town who can benefit from that? And I don't agree with indefinitely reducing that number to 0. I've expressed that before. I continue to express that. The other part I had that I highlighted was, and let me see if it's been corrected in the new version that we have here, but 10C had referred to in section E11, and there's no E11. The density requirements, so whether that be a type, if you look at page 9 at the bottom,
All right, let me, so they're not numbered, hold on. 1, 2,
in the newest one that we have,
okay. All right,
page 9 at the bottom, 10C.
Yes.
If the purchaser of a business with a valid tobacco sales permit pursuant to section E10 changes the location of the business, the new location shall be subject to the retail density requirements of section E11. There's no E11. And if we're limiting the number of tobacco products anyway, or the amount of permits, why are we even concerned about E10 to begin with? So I'd like to see that reworked somehow.
all right, we'll have to.
What did you do to get the,
Is that somebody online? All right, that one I didn't catch. So we'll have to, that one we will have.
It's usually you that does. I think as far as the tobacco sale, that was the only things I had. I caught, again, I reiterate my desire not to reduce the number of license indefinitely until it goes to zero. I would like to see, if we agree on reducing them somewhat, I would like to see a definitive number that gets capped at some point, rather than reducing them to zero. I don't know what the bylaw says, I didn't look it up, so excuse me if that's the case, but is there any limit on alcohol sales, the number of licenses in the town?
The current regulation does reduce it down to zero. I think that was always the board's intent, was to,
I know, and that existed before I got here.
Yeah.
Just expressing my disagreement with said bylaw, and
Okay.
that's all.
All right, I'm gonna have you get back to me, because I found this in the old one, the, number 10.
Okay.
So the only thing, the problem you had with that is.
Well, it refers to E11, there is no
Yes, and there
E11.
isn't any E11, all right, all right. Okay, anything else?
Nope.
All right,
No comment.
okay. And you changed the ones that I had gone over with you or not? All right,
so from these ones, no, because this was the draft that was submitted to everybody for review.
all right.
So I wasn't gonna make any changes from what we discussed on this until you discussed it as a board.
Okay, so on page, what would be 4 in the old one?
So these two are the same. The ones that you got in your packet and the ones that are presented here tonight are the same. They just don't have all the corrections in them. They're a little cleaner copy.
All right, now, all right, that's not working out for mine. Because if I turn to
Because all
page,
your notes are in your,
I'm looking at the one that started with smoking bar. I can't even find that in here.
that is gonna be page 6 in the clean draft,
Where is it?
right here,
What page?
page 6.
What is it?
Page 6.
6. Okay. So, page 6. Smoking bar. All right, all right, what I had looked at, I thought this was difficult to follow. The one was the smoking bar, where they have the 1, 2, 3, and 4. And when we went back to the ones from the state, they had them listed
Yeah, it was
like in
just
numerical
a
order.
cleaner
In other words,
layout.
when you read this, it says smoking bar, an establishment that, 1, exclusively occupies an enclosed indoor space and is primarily engaged in a retail sale of tobacco products for consumption by customers on the premise. Number 2, derives revenue from the sale of food, alcohol, or other beverages that is incidental to the sale of tobacco product and prohibit entry to a person under 21 years of age. To me, it kind of, it's, when you go from the colon up there on establishment, that, when you go to 2, it's kind of, it says both. Derives revenue from the sale of food, alcohol, or other beverage that is incidental to the sale of tobacco product and prohibits entry to a person under 21 years of age. Then they go to 3, and then when you get down, to this one, it says, is prohibited in the town of Harwich. To me, it was just, like to clean that up a little. It's gonna say the same thing, but I thought it made it clear if we follow what is in the actual,
The way it reads and lays out now, it seems like is prohibited is only applicable to the third item
Right.
versus being applicable to the smoking bars
right,
in its entirety.
right, and the way it is in the state, that sent it out, it was a little clearer. We don't have a copy of that state one, do we?
No?
All right. All right, we're gonna end up bringing this back.
Yeah.
Because that we need to clean that one up a little bit, so that it's clear. It's not wrong, it's just not clear. All right, and then if I go to the next page, all right, again, B, where it says all adult, on the third line, it was a third line, hold on a minute. Where it says in the old one, door providing entrance to the tobacco retail, and we were gonna eliminate store or smoking bar. And I said, I thought the word store has to be kept in there, because it doesn't make sense otherwise. We're looking at the one that came in the packet where they're showing the,
Yeah,
Where store is stricken.
yeah, so we have to put store back in there.
okay.
So that was the other one. All right. Moving over to maximum number of tobacco sales products. Maximum number of sales products.
Yeah, that's where I've got my problem with.
All right, now, in the new one here, we're showing that as E. Identification.
And the newest one is under E8. On page 8.
Yeah. All right, and that's the one, I feel that to vote on that, we ought to wait till we have the other two.
Okay.
So rather than vote on that tonight, yeah, I think we need the other two.
And their input just in general from,
Yeah, in their input. But some of these, I think we can go over, and if you agree, at least she can make the
Changes.
The changes for next meeting. Okay, and here we're doing, as effective date. All right. In the one that was in our packet, we eliminated B and C, made the next one B, and we were gonna reword that as of the effective date. Wow. By a retail, do you have written down what we looked at?
Yep, so as of the effective date of this regulation, any permit surrendered, revoked, or not renewed by a retail tobacco store, adding that by a retail tobacco store, either because a retailer no longer, so just identifying the retail tobacco store in that sentence.
Yeah. Now, again, that's gonna come back to yours about, yeah, so I think that's,
Ben and I voted on that a few times already. I would love to change some minds, but
okay.
can wait for another day.
I think that was it.
And then I see C was a little redundant.
Wait,
C seemed to repeat the same thing that B was saying.
yes, yes.
But if somebody wants to
So-
read it, make sure that
All
we're.
right, so we kind of combined B and C into B.
Yeah, I feel like even on the new one, you'd almost just get rid of C, 8C altogether. I mean, 8B says any permit surrendered, revoked, or not renewed for whatever reason, which I believe by definition would be any permit surrendered, as stated in C. And I just think it's totally redundant. I feel like we can get rid of C altogether. I think the fact that B states clearly that the number shall be reduced until it's reduced to zero, includes that it should be permanently retired. Again, I disagree with it, but I feel it's, the way it's worded is redundant.
All right, can we close this, open it up to the public, to their comments? So they have a copy of what was in our draft packet.
So they have a copy, so they were emailed the draft and then printed clean copies tonight for them available.
pick up.
Yep,
Okay, all right, so I'm gonna take their comments, and then we're gonna have to bring this one back.
okay.
Yeah. All right, do I have to close this hearing?
Yes, so
All right.
close your discussion and then you can
We're gonna
open
close,
it.
do we have to make a motion on that too?
I believe so.
All right, motion to close.
I motion to close discussion by the board on tobacco product sales.
I'll second it.
Vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'm gonna open up the hearing. We don't have to vote on that, we can just open that, right?
No, you can just open it to public comment.
Yeah, open the public comment. Okay. Sorry for the confusion. So we'll take public comment.
Good evening, my name is Soumil Patel. And so last time we were discussing about the total number of licenses we currently have, and we didn't have a definite answer.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering, like, were we able to figure that out?
Yeah, we were supposed to get back to him.
So
Yeah.
14, 2 are adult-only establishments. That's the total 14.
Okay,
We did
that's the
have
total.
16 prior, 1 surrendered, and 1 was an open application that never followed through. So they weren't technically ever issued a license, but we had included them in the draft regulation at that time to, if they did follow through.
Okay. So you guys will be taking vote on this in the next meeting, right?
Yes.
Not tonight?
Yes, yes, because we're gonna update that, and with the few corrections that we made here,
Yes.
we'll bring it back at the next meeting when the other 2 board members are here,
Okay,
and hopefully we'll get it taken care of.
okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, my name's Rob Bourne from the Harwich Mobile.
Just speaking in,
Hi, my name's Rob Bourne from the Harwich Mobile on Pleasant Lake Ave. I just had a couple questions on, it's page 10, section G, it's the cigar sale regulation. It appears that we're gonna take a 13% increase on the minimums for single and package.
what page is that?
That's page 10, section G,
On the new one or
On
the
the
old?
new one.
on the new
Only
draft, I'm
proposed
sorry. Yeah, I know you guys, we're passing around a few different copies, so. I was just kind of curious about the increase and kind of what are we on some sort of schedule with that increase? Is there a reason why it went up that significantly in this draft?
My understanding, and let me know if you know something
state.
different from discussion, is that it's coming down from the state, and where
coming from
we're
the state.
drafting regulations now, we were just going to incorporate it at the time.
Okay.
I can email all of the permit holders and get clarification on that, so you have that information. But that's my understanding, is it's not enacted yet by the state, but it's coming.
Okay. And then on the same page, same section, we got, item 4. How's the board planning on informing us on some of these changes as they come down the pipe? As we kind of work through some of these issues? Because on here, it seems that you can adjust a lot of these rules pretty quickly if you so choose to. And just kind of when and how is the board gonna inform the retailers or people that are essentially affected by these changes?
So if I may?
Go ahead,
um,
go right ahead.
Any of these regulations would have to come back in front of the board for modification, so notice would be given. Any changes that are adopted by the state, we try to do our best to inform you as they're giving us information to give you information. We try to visit the establishments to let you know that things are happening, the changes are being made. Whether you're present or an employee is present and they don't get that information to you, but we can definitely do email distribution too, to make it a little easier. We try to make it a point though, like with the state changes that recently took place, to come out and visit, get you all a copy, have any discussions if there's any questions, leave our information.
Okay. Yeah, no, just curious on just further communication, because in a lot of this verbiage, I mean, we've been doing business in town for a very long time, like over 20 years. Always been about, changes, reasonable, obviously. But in a lot of this, there's really no further education to the community, the staff, my customers, I guess, the town. And that's just a little concerning to me. A lot of these changes, it's fine. Okay, you guys want to bump up the cigar single price 13%. It's 40 cents, not a big deal. But just a little concerning that we're not really focusing on any sort of further education to the retail establishments, to the community, and a lot of these changes that we've been making.
Are you asking for, if I'm following you, are you asking, in other words, when the state is going to require a certain charge for something, are you asking for something that you can show your customers, that you're not the one upping the price, that it's a state regulation? Is that what you're getting at?
No, I'm just getting at there seems to be some concern over, underage sales in town. I think that's kind of what the bulk of this is about, and the tobacco retailers. And I just was kind of wondering, is there a plan in the future to help educate us on how you guys want things to be done? Just in other states that we do business in, there is education programs provided either by the state or by the town of like, hey, this is how we do things. This is how we discourage a sale. This is kind of where we're going with it. Like when you guys went to 21 in town ahead of the state, because that was what you guys wanted to do. I thought that was a great idea. Makes it a lot easier for our staff, because it's just 21. Like, we sell beer and wine. It's easy, right? Nope, 21. Nope, out the door. We did have a little hiccup here and there with people coming in from out of town. Obviously Harwich being seasonal, get people from all over the place coming here. So explaining to them was very easy, but there wasn't really any education on that, for our staff provided either by the town or by the state. So I guess just going forward, is that kind of at all in the plan?
So in regards
that?
to IDing, there is the TIPS training through the state that talks about how to card, and I think they do a book that gives you the different license types. So we wouldn't be the experts to train you on how to card somebody properly. I think that's what the TIPS training is designed for. The books are helpful. The scanners are not foolproof, but they're helpful.
Certainly.
In regards to local regulations and training, we would be, I would be on board if the board would like us to put on like an annual training like we do our liquor license holders.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's tremendously helpful, especially for management, employees to go to that. It's usually down at the police station. If you guys aren't familiar with it, it's down at the police station. We all kind of huddle up. Everybody that has a license, we kind of go over, hey, it's usually in the spring, I believe in May. Hey, this is the plan. This is some problems we had last summer. This is some problems we foresee. And then we kind of all get together and kind of say, okay, this is, we're going to try our best. And this is what we're going to try to do, so that we're all on the same page as far as compliance, rule changes, stuff that the town wants to see, stuff that we want to see.
I think the biggest struggle is the products that are out there. Even for our inspectors, sometimes the flavored products can be a challenge. So I think it would only help enforce our knowledge as well as what our expectations are in one group. If the board wanted to propose a requirement of the permitting process that there be a mandated training
All right.
that they attend, or
Would we have to put that on for next month to vote on it, since it's not really on the agenda?
you could incorporate it in your regulations. That part of the permitting process requires a mandated attendance to one of these trainings.
Is that what they do for the liquor licenses?
Yeah. we could
I
discuss it
am
with them.
very familiar with the books about licenses that you speak of. I used to be a doorman back in my 20s at multiple places here on the Cape. Those books are incredibly helpful for people who are actually checking IDs. There's a lot of minute details in there as far as catching fakes that most people, even who check IDs, aren't necessarily aware about.
Is-
I don't know the details of getting those from the state, but is there a way, if we make this education a requirement, can we supply local businesses with those books?
We can look into that,
Okay.
Either supply the books or give them a link,
right?
one of the two.
Yes. If they're available for free for us, I don't see why we wouldn't get a surplus of
Yeah,
them,
I
but
just-
if it's a budgeting thing, we may have to
Just do links.
go higher up to get that
Yeah.
approval.
all right.
All right, so let's put that, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, just so we can kind of huddle up and work together on some of these things, because it seems like you guys are on the train of eventually not having any tobacco licenses, whether or not.
I myself am not familiar with a lot of this, so.
But it just saying, like, that's what a lot of this is about, and I guess I would be remiss if we didn't work with the town. We always, the retailers here are all
All right,
good retailers, so I think we can just all kind of work together and navigate through some of these changes as they come up. Obviously, some of them are state, some of them are town-related, so.
well, then maybe till next month, we can
Yeah.
find out whether the books would be available from the state.
And if you want to add a section under tobacco product sales permit, that would be where we would require
Yes, yeah,
the mandated training if you see fit to require everybody as part of their renewal process to attend.
I would think it would be helpful.
Or you could just do it as that we are offering this annual
Oh,
and
just
it's
offering
something.
it versus,
And they, right, so they can come if they choose or mandate it as part of their permitting.
well, all right, put that on,
I would argue if we're gonna require it, that we should make an effort to supply those books.
yeah, if we can, yeah. But let's put the options on for next month.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, make a motion to close the,
A motion to close the public comments on tobacco sales.
I'll second that motion.
vote. Kevin?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. All right, new business.
So I think you need to also make a motion to continue it until the April hearing.
Ah, okay,
I motion to continue the discussion on the regulations of restricting sale of tobacco products in Harwich until the April meeting on April, you got a date?
I got a date.
I know we're supposed to put date in there.
Yep, that's my agenda. My agenda.
oh, wait,
No, I don't have an agenda.
April
No, wait.
17th, no, 18th.
April 19th.
April 19th.
Until April 19th, 2023.
I'll second that motion.
Vote?
Aye.
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 Okay.
All right. Now we're moving on to new business. Let me get this out of the way. All right. And this. All right. All right, I guess since Ron isn't here. All right, I'm going to open the hearing for the modification of a subdivision 2, 6, and 10 Dorset Avenue. Modification of a previously approved subdivision plan prepared by Clark Engineering dated February 3rd, 2023. Hello.
Good evening. David Clark from Clark Engineering on behalf of Eastwood Companies. Eastwood Companies have the lots under agreement, and they're looking to modify a previously approved subdivision that was done, I think, in 2007. That subdivision created 4 lots, 3 lots off of Dorset, and 1 lot with an existing house out on Church Street. Since that subdivision, the house out on Church Street's been conveyed, and that lot is not part of this modification. So what we have left are the 3 lots on Dorset, and so what we're doing is reconfiguring the lots, creating a new lot, but also getting rid of a lot, in that we have a parcel A that is not a building lot, it lacks frontage on a road, and it will be conveyed to the abutter out on Church Street. So we're left with 3 building lots. The main difference between this plan and the previous plan really has to do with road construction. The previous plan was granted waivers by the planning board for all road construction rules and regulations except for a 16-foot wide gravel road. No drainage, no utilities. And so what Eastwood Companies is proposing, this reconfiguration, is we've drastically shortened the length of the road. We're going to pave it 14 feet wide, we're going to install drainage, and also we're going to dry sewer the subdivision in anticipation of the town finally extending the sewer down Route 39. The DPW also asked if we could provide an easement between lot 2 and 3, so that it would be easier for the only house on Lily Lane, which is to the north of us, to have a easier access to the sewer, so the town doesn't have to bring a sewer line down Lily Lane, and we've agreed and put that on this plan. This is in the Pleasant Bay watershed, but it's under 5 lots. It's 3 lots before, it's 3 lots now. We're anticipating hooking to the sewer. Hopefully, the town will be ready to go to town meeting this fall, or hopefully next spring, to seek the funds to extend the sewer. I know they're doing the engineering now. Hopefully that'll get wrapped up soon. We've been to the planning board once. We're going back in April with some minor revisions that the town engineer is looking for. Be happy to answer questions.
Okay. I actually don't have any on this one. I didn't have any on this one.
My only concern at all is kind of addressed in the recommendation by the director, where in option 2, section 1, it does state specifically that under the recommended proposition by our director, it does say that no certificate of occupancy would be issued until the sewer connection is completed. And I know that isn't still written in stone from my understanding, that section is gonna be done, but it is in the plans. So that's the only issue that I see there. I would like to see those hooked up to the sewer. It is intended to extend to that area.
As far as we know, I did reach out to the superintendent at the water department, and he said that the plan is to, it's not set in stone yet.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, with it not being set in stone, you know, I would like to see that be a part of the occupancy permits for that area. I don't know how that's gonna work if it's not quite set in stone yet. I would agree with the advisement. I do wanna see it hooked up to the sewer, but if we don't know 100% that's gonna happen yet, how are we gonna address that?
If there was something for this Springstown meeting or the Fall Town meeting, probably wouldn't object to that condition. Given that it's still, no warrant article's been written yet, and I don't want to see what happened at Bascom across the street. We were all sure that sewer was gonna be available, and here it is 7 years later, and it's still not available. With all due respect, I think such a condition is exceeding your authority in that this subdivision complies with your regulations, and to withhold an occupancy permit pending sewer, I think is beyond a condition that's reasonable, because it's not based upon your regulations.
I just have a comment on this before you go any further. When I'm looking at option 2, Russ, number 3, it says, if for any reason the sewer is not scheduled to be connected to the properties prior to needing a certificate of occupancy, the applicant must return to the Board of Health for further review. It doesn't say that
So we can do them on an individual basis if,
it is.
but that also, I'm sure that affects their planning as far as what's gonna be in place for septic, whether it be a Title V or whether it be sewer connection.
And the recommendation may have been oversight, because it almost kind of contradicts itself a little bit.
Yeah.
And you could put a time frame if you wanted to, that once sewer is available, that they connect within a certain amount of time.
Well, I think we already have that.
I think it's.
I don't remember it. I should know that from wastewater.
Yeah, we already have something in place for that.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of, in the wastewater thing, there's a certain amount of time for hookup.
Within your regulations, there
Yeah.
probably is.
There is, I just, off the top of my head, I don't remember it, but there is a regulation that after they receive the notice, you have so much time to hook up. So,
And without that, what's the plan for these lots? Are they gonna have a separate Title V or
or,
AI that they,
Well, that's probably why they would have to come back and.
yeah.
see, wow, because of some of the things that are changing. I know sometimes what Eastwood has done is like, you'd have like one, tank where the homes would go into.
Right.
And then you would, once the sewer comes in, you can hook that up, and it hooks everybody up. Or, I don't know if you would ever do one set up to be hooked up individually to a sewer line, but in lieu of those, I guess my concern is what the state is going, because right now is one of the reasons they're redoing the CWMP, because the state may require, if, it's sketchy. It's sketchy. I even hate to say it, because it's one of those things where depending on what the state says, is gonna depend on what we can do, because they're gonna change that Title V. And I know they're saying in some places where if you don't have sewer, you may need an IA. And I don't know where, I don't know where we're going with that.
Right.
I
am
don't,
hoping.
yeah,
And I read the revisions to Title V.
Yeah.
And I think it was a 5-year sunset on.
well, see, a lot of that's gonna depend on what the town does. So
If-
it's
if
like,
the citizens of the
between a
town
rock and a
are
hard place.
smart, They, and they have been frugal over the years. You get much more bang for the buck by extending the sewer and putting in IA systems.
oh, I agree
Yeah,
with that.
So, and obviously, we'd rather not put in individual Title V systems. But to come back at the time of occupancy and
All right, let me, and I,
discuss it with the board as to what type of system has to go in. I think it needs to be based upon your regulations that are on the books now, which this is under the threshold of the Pleasant Bay, so we don't have to have a shared system. And it, basically, it's Eastward's risk to put in a Title V system And then if the state comes along and says, you have 5 years to put in IA, that's their risk, which would be, you know.
Wow.
We learned our lesson over in Bascom. We had a shared system with treatment for the entire subdivision. And we thought sewer was coming. And we put in a shared system for 4 houses instead of all 8 at the time, thinking that sewer was around the corner, and
Where,
it didn't happen.
I'm not really familiar with a lot of the roads here. Where is Dorset Drive?
Dorset is a paper road at this point. There was an semblance of a driveway going in there at one time. This used to be an airport. Some of the folks in the audience are a few years older than me. It was an airfield, not an airport.
Give me a rough idea where this is.
It's right across the street from Bascom, so it's just a little ways down from the post office. Williamsburg is just to the south of us, that
Okay.
subdivision.
And we don't know, I thought, yeah, see, I don't know they're changing it.
Yeah, sewer ends right now at Austin Road. The south half of Williamsburg or Vicksburg has sewer. It comes down Bay Road, which is 500 feet away at the most.
The superintendent was pretty confident that it would be sewered. It's just a matter of when.
When?
When.
Pretty confident is different than the definitive. And I used to work construction. I, in fact, worked for Bill many, many years
I
ago.
think this was in the plans originally. It's not like,
The sewer stops, what, a couple of properties up from,
Phase
well,
two.
to extend it?
On 39, it ends at Austin Road, which is that cut-through road over to 137. And then the south half of Williamsburg has sewer, and
Built that place many years ago.
it comes up Bay Road, and it stops short of 39 by, I'd say, 600-700 feet, something like that. So it's in the neighborhood. I know this was part of the original Phase 2, and then it got cut in half.
or was it phase 3? Was it part of,
Well, I don't.
Well, it was
Could have been Phase 3.
it was either 2 or 3, and then 3 got modified.
Yeah.
Like, so did 2.
The geotech engineers have been through the neighborhoods, doing test borings, so they're working on it. So it's the next phase, it's
All right.
from what I understand.
If we're discussing this tonight and you're saying that Eastwood Companies is willing to take the risk on putting the Title V in, is there any possibility for us to maybe extend the conversation until next month, but include, if you guys are willing, if we're gonna give the permit to do this without knowing 100% that the sewer system is gonna be hooked up, can we include having IA as part of the requirements? Would you guys be willing to do that?
I would have to discuss it with them.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, we're also sewering this road.
This was also a project that was previously approved. They're coming for a modification to reduce the amount of building lots. I
Which is
wouldn't be
great.
opposed to stricken the, without a certificate, the certificate of occupancy, approve it with all other conditions, that it be hooked up to sewer when available. But
Okay.
that's just my.
So a Title V
Type five
as
system.
previously approved with the reduction of the size of the road and the lots, but including that it be hooked up to sewer as soon as it is available,
Yes.
within the limits
Yeah.
that we already have set forth the time frame.
The board is open to vote however they see fit.
Wow. I wish,
I just don't wanna leave it to an occupancy permit.
yeah.
Because with this housing market right now,
Yeah.
the house is sold basically when they're looking for a,
You said it is sold.
no,
Oh.
The way the market works right now,
Oh.
when Eastwood Companies is looking for an occupancy permit,
Mm-hmm.
99% of the time, the house is under agreement. And sort of go back and say, okay, now you're looking at an IA system is a big deal.
So how,
We can't give an occupancy permit
So
without.
you can move to continue it, seeking more information from the applicant in regards to what they propose, or you can vote on it with the conditions, however you see fit.
that would give me, I'd like a chance to talk to Dan. Can you wait till next month?
Well, next month's 2 weeks away, so,
Till, when, our next meeting is,
April
not
19th.
19th.
In your
19th,
packet was an email from Dan, I don't know if that makes a difference to your,
I
to
missed,
your plans. He stated that Dorset Drive is in the Phase 3 area. They may be able to connect sooner if they are just north of Phase 2 area, but I can't promise anything.
It does say 2+ years until the sewer is ready to accept, but it's, again, in the
So
plan.
that's for a different property.
Okay,
That's why I highlighted the one that's in reference to
okay,
Dorset.
yes, I see that.
I think Susan Ledoux is on the meeting. I don't know if she wants to, Susan Ledoux from Eastwood Companies is probably on the meeting.
Oh.
Yep,
Yeah,
there she is.
I'm here, I'm here.
So, I don't know if you have any comments on that, Susan.
Yeah, I was following and I agree. Let me turn this down. It's
Break it up a little bit.
I agree with David and I think because it is a modification, the subdivision was approved in 2007. We're actually improving things. I would ask that the board do consider approving this tonight with the Title V systems as David has discussed with you. And we are putting in the dry sewer and we are willing to hook up as soon as we can to the sewer. And as David said, we start to build our houses and then move along. People come along, want to buy them, and we're ready for our CO. And to say that we don't have the capability of handling the septic from the houses is difficult. So I think I would agree and just say that we would ask the board to consider approving with the Title V system. Thank you.
I would like to take option 2 as far as the recommendations. Option 2, statement 1, is that properties must connect to the sewer as soon as it's available. No certificate of occupancy will be issued until the sewer connection is completed. If we're starting with a Title V and you guys are planning on putting in all the equipment to connect it to the sewer, and it sounds like that's what the plan is, correct?
That's what's the design.
I would like to strike the second sentence from that
Yeah.
about the certificate of occupancy. I think, because we don't know when the sewer is gonna be in there, or if it even is gonna be there.
I
Since we
think it
had
will be,
previously
I think it
accepted
will
it,
be, but my concern is
But we
it's
don't
going to
know.
be too long.
we don't know.
Yeah.
I don't wanna prevent business
Yeah.
from going on here in the town and people who are moving in. If we've got Title V that meets all the requirements now, I think holding a certificate of occupancy until it's connected to the sewer, especially when we don't know if the sewer's even gonna be there, I don't see that as, I don't agree with that. I would like to accept option 2 without that second sentence of part 1. Everything else, great. And I guess that makes maybe part 3 kind of null and void. But as long as the Title V with the dry sewer, with the expectation that it's gonna be hooked up eventually, and as long as we, once it's available, ask them to hook up to the sewer within the regulations that we already have in place, I think that's totally reasonable.
Is there a way we can put that into the motion to accept that, even though it's not the one that's in here?
You can read that and strike out whatever,
Motion for whatever we wanna do, yeah.
and only the pieces of it that you want to accept.
All right, go ahead.
All right. I motion to approve the modified subdivision for plans 2, 6, and 10 Dorset Drive dated February 3rd, 2023 by Clark Engineering LLC with the following conditions. 1, the properties must connect to the sewer as soon as it is available. 2, the properties must be served by town water. We're going to ignore 3. 4, all previous conditions must remain in effect of the previous agreement. And 5, Board of Health decision must be recorded at the Registry of Deeds.
Does that make sense to you?
Yep.
Yeah,
I'll second that motion.
okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Does that work for you?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Was that a vote or just
Yes.
a vote?
That was a vote.
That was a vote.
Good.
That's a vote, you're good.
All right, I'm out of here. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, B. I'm going to open the hearing for the reconsideration of a previously approved variance conditions on 2 Andrews River Road.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Attorney Bill Crowell from Harwich Port, and I have Dan Croto from Moran Engineering with me this evening, and the property owners, Paul and Paula Delori, are in the first row behind us. I'm looking for some clarification first. Do we have a quorum at this
Yes.
meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
So it's a 5-member board with a quorum of 3, okay? And if you take a vote on this matter, does it require a unanimous, all 3 tonight, or is it 2 out of the 3?
I think it would be all 3.
I think it would have to be all 3. If we wouldn't all 3 agree, we could
Continue it.
continue it.
I think it could be agreed to be continued.
Yeah.
Okay,
we
and
could do
that's my next question
And I
is,
do apologize for this.
that's all right. My next question is, could we ask for a straw vote before we ask for your final vote? And if the straw vote is looking like it might not be unanimous, then I'm going to want to ask for a continuance to the April 19th meeting.
I'm not sure if we can do that, or if we have to vote and then vote to,
I believe you have the
Asking to
authority
withdraw
to.
it?
can we,
I think you can see if you get a census if everybody's in favor. And
I mean,
And
are we
then-
allowed to have a
Because it would
discussion
be a
about it
Yeah.
before we vote anyway? I think we can just kind of include that as
Yeah.
part of the discussion
yeah, I know,
without taking
I've seen them do that
official
before,
straw
but
vote, Mr. Crowell.
we'll go with that.
So if it's not looking like it's going in our favor, then I'm going to ask for a continuance to the next meeting.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yes. Accept that.
Now that we have that squared away.
Okay. This has been a rough one. This is a rough
Good
meeting.
first one for me. A lot of lessons learned the hard way.
No, you really came under fire tonight.
You have your rubber stamp out, right? Only kidding. So, Mr. and Mrs. Delori own the property at 2 Andrews River Road in Harwich Port. You have the packet. You have a busy agenda tonight. I don't want to belabor it if you've already reviewed the packet. You've seen that we have an existing order of conditions / variance from 2011 that says that there's to be no increase in square footage, habitable space, or number of bedrooms. And the Delories own this property and are requesting you to reconsider that variance to allow an increase to the habitable space within the structure. There's not going to be any change in the footprint, and the unfinished area, which supposedly was a garage, has not been used as a garage for at least since 2008, according to the previous owner. And 2008. So what's it been used for? I have a picture that shows you that there's no garage door there, and there hasn't been a garage door, if I may give you that picture.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And what it's been used for is storage, mechanicals, an exercise room. So it's quasi-habitable space, but not a garage.
Not a garage.
So they're asking to, it just seems like it's kind of already been habitable space. We just want to now renovate the interior of the house and have this be the family room as per the plans that we submitted. And the 2011 variance, when we met with Katie and Carrie for our informal meeting on March 6th, it was pointed out by Mr. Croto that those were all dimensional variances. There's no environmental variances. So we're looking to renovate and not increase the number of bedrooms at all. We'd be increasing the habitable space, kind of. It was quasi-habitable space, now it's gonna be fully habitable space, and increasing the square footage, but not increasing the number of bedrooms.
Say something, Bill?
Go ahead.
Dan Croto, I produced the site plan, which wasn't actually for this. We had done the site plan maybe before the current owners bought it. The current owners actually own the property on Neal Road, right in front of this, and they had purchased this so that it wasn't overly changed and that they had some control over their neighbor. And as Bill had said, this room is labeled as garage in your existing floor plan, but there's no garage door. It's been used as inside exercise room. So the variances on the septic system were not environmental variances, were just setback variances. When you look at the existing versus the proposed, again, the outside doesn't change at all. It's all inside. The current situation, you have an enclosed room that could easily be used in the summer as a bedroom. Existing, it has enclosed area. The new proposal opens this all up, basically just creating a dining room where there isn't one now. This is all open to the kitchen and living, it's one big room. So I would say that the new proposal has a better chance of not having an illegal bedroom, which can happen. On top of that, the neighbors are the owners, so it's not a situation where you're gonna have, 20 summer people, rent it out to 20 summer people living here, because they would impact the whole reason that the current owners had bought the property. So I would say that the new layout actually is, if we're looking at reducing capacity or not exceeding the 3-bedroom capacity that was approved, the new layout actually would be a better layout. On top of that, this is on a crawl space, so there's no situation where they're gonna go into the basement. This is a one-floor house also. Just wanted to add that point.
All right. Any questions?
As far as the neighbors, this being the same owners, I mean, houses get sold here all the time. I think that's kind of irrelevant. I'm totally fine with the changes. The one concern that I have is more or less a technicality. I did notice on the page, the public hearing notice, date March 6, 2023, the description of variances. It says the requested relief will not increase the square footage of the structure or increase the number of bathrooms. Sounds like that's bedrooms, because it does include a half bath, correct?
I believe the owners actually put together the scenario, so they weren't
More or less a
totally-
wording of it. I don't want the fact that this is worded bathrooms on the very bottom of this page, Mr. Pearl, there you go. And it's just the way it comes in wording. I think that was meant to say bedrooms.
So we'd certainly want approval for the, yeah, correct, thanks for pointing
Okay.
that out. We'd want approval for the architect's
So
proposed
if we
plan.
take a look at the packet that looks like this, Sharon, the notice, March 6, 2023, in the Harwich regulation number and under description of variances, the very last word, this is will not increase the number of bathrooms, but it is including a half bath in the new construction. I don't want that to cause any hiccups. That should be bedrooms.
Appreciate,
Aside from that, I'm
Good catch.
okay with it.
very much
going on.
appreciate that, Kate. So we don't have to clog your agenda next month.
We're not increasing the number of bedrooms, let's be clear on that one.
So can we approve that without them changing this?
I don't know that that language needed to be in there as notification, because it's a revision of a variance condition.
And the original variance, it wasn't in there.
The original variance states no increase in bedrooms,
Yeah.
no increase in habitables.
Can we just do it striking that last sentence altogether since it was in the original? Where it says the requested relief will not increase the square footage of the structure or increase the number of bathrooms. I just don't want it to be held up in a technicality is all.
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with the changes that are being made. I just don't want it to affect them in any way.
I
Oh,
mean,
thank you. So I think in your decision, in your reconsideration document that will also get recorded at the Registry of Deeds, it can say that the number of bedrooms
Will not increase the number of
it
bedrooms.
will not increase the number of
Just
bedrooms.
change that last
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
Because it's clear from the floor plans that were submitted with the petition that we're not increasing the number of bedrooms.
We could just say, change it from being bathrooms to bedrooms.
Yeah. All right.
we had no interest from the public in the project. I don't know if that matters, makes a difference, but
I think it's a good point.
Or not interesting.
Wait.
So what,
where one of the abutters is the property owner.
Yeah. I don't think they'll
That
object.
helps.
so, can we just reword that in the,
It's on the abutters notification, it's not in the application that they submitted to us.
Correct.
Okay.
In the application to you, it says bedrooms.
all right,
Right.
we should be all right.
We just have the abutters notice.
So
Okay.
it does talk about a revision of variance. They just put the full language in there.
So how would we reword this?
I don't think we would need to reword
I
that.
don't think
All
you
right,
would.
leave it as,
Yeah.
that could go as it is.
You could move forward with a decision to either continue the hearing for proper notification.
As long as we all have the understanding that that was just worded wrong in the abutters notice.
Right.
You folks acknowledge that? All right,
All right, and I just want to double check that, they did have a passing Title V.
Yes,
Yes, all right.
yeah, this was one that.
So
All right.
in the, if I may, Chair,
Yes.
the notice to the abutters below that also says, the application and the plans are available for review at the Harwich Board of Health from 8:30 to 4. So if anybody had any concern about this project, they could come and look at the application and the plans.
Or-
Application says no increase in number of bedrooms.
All right,
And the plans don't show any new bedrooms. I think
Alright.
you're covered.
all right.
Oh.
Want to make a motion?
I would motion to approve the reconsideration of previously approved variance conditions as requested for 2 Andrews Road, with the condition that the previous conditions remain in effect.
I'll second that motion.
Vote?
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
All right. We've had some issues tonight.
We're getting through them.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Carrie's doing a good job.
Thank you, Bob. Need the reinforcement.
Thank you, Dan.
All
I am
right.
actually handling the next hearing, that's why I'm not leaving
Oh,
the table.
all right, all right. All right, the next one, I'm going to open the hearing for the reconsideration of previously approved variances, variance condition 10 Rainbow Road.
Rainbow Way.
Rainbow Way, oh, all right, on here it said road, but it's way, all right.
So again, I'm Attorney William Kroll from Harwich Port, and I'm representing Deborah Lindegren this evening regarding this matter. And she resides in California, so she's not physically present this evening. And she submitted the petition. We did have our informal hearing with Katie and Carrie last summer, at least with Katie.
Katie.
July 29th.
Okay.
And Katie indicated that would be sufficient, we didn't have to come back again. So in this situation, similar to the previous petition, there's an existing Board of Health variance for this property, order of conditions by this board on December 10, 1997. And the board said there is to be no increase in square footage or number of bedrooms. Back then, they didn't say habitable space. It kind of, when Paula Champagne was here, it kind of grew from square footage, then it was bedrooms, and then it became habitable space.
Space. That's evolution.
It evolved, right. So we submitted the floor plans as well as the site plan by Moran Engineering back in 1997. And what Mr. Croto had indicated and what Katie indicated was, in this case, this was an environmental variance, not a dimensional variance, because although this is not in the Six Ponds District, it's in the Great Sand Lakes area, but it's not in the Six Pond District, but it is in the Water Resource Zone 2 district. So where you're supposed to, as you know, not supposed to, you have to have 10,000 square feet of area per bedroom, and this is a two-bedroom house with an existing two-bedroom house that this board approved back in 1997. So why are we here? As you saw with the cover letter, which was very nicely done and very succinct, there was a disaster a year ago in February, and a water pipe burst under the sink. My client and her husband live in California, and they find out that after the fact, that the house is full of water and mold and everything else. Just a total disaster. So they had to strip the whole house down to the studs on the main floor in the basement, and they haven't been able to occupy it for over a year. So this has all been in the works, and so as she nicely points out in the letter, it's an opportunity for them to make the house more amenable to their needs. She has a business where she has to video a lot of, she has to be videoed. And so if they expand to the second floor with the shed dormers and the second floor without increasing the number of bedrooms and without changing the footprint, then it's a lot more workable for them. As she explained, she's been doing it at the dining room table when she's here 5 months out of the year, and then to have dinner, she has to take it all apart. Very inconvenient. So it would work better for them, and with the second floor without as they say, without increasing the footprint or the number of bedrooms, but obviously increasing the habitable space and the square footage. And Rick Judd from Moran Engineering, Dan Croto's partner, has communicated by email back and forth with Katie O'Neill this fall and winter regarding this matter. And there was discussion about IA technology or a system in those pieces of correspondence. So my client is asking that the board reconsider that variance from 1997 to allow for the expansion for the second floor. Thank you.
And I see they are willing to do an IA system.
If the board sees fit, then they are willing to consider that, yes. Not their favorite thing to spend more money, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Sharon, this is one too that we had an email from an abutter. If you
Yes.
wanted to make note that they did email in favor, they had no objections to the
Yes.
project.
You guys have a copy of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which abutter was that, if I may?
6 Rainbow?
Is there a name?
Is that Michael
Joe Schreiberman?
Okay, thank you.
Schreiberman?
Schreibman.
Schreiben, okay. SCHREIBMAN.
Got it.
Okay, so we do have they don't have any objection. Any questions?
No, but as my wife does like corporate team building events, does a lot of remote stuff. So, you know, I understand the need for that type of space, especially these days. Remote work in certain lines of work isn't going anywhere. It's around to stay.
It's around to
as unfortunately COVID is likely to. So I would lean towards approving this with the IA. I understand they're willing to, although nobody wants to, but I would like to see that included if the increase in habitable space is going to be allowed. So I would lean towards approving it exactly the way option 2 is written. Any other discussion about it?
No comment.
I would agree.
Could you read option 2 to
I
me?
absolutely will. Option 2 would be to move to approve the reconsideration of previously approved variance conditions as requested for 10 Rainbow Way with the following conditions: that the dwelling is restricted to a maximum of 2 bedrooms, as previously discussed, no further increase in habitable space or square footage without further review by the Board of Health, no garbage disposal being allowed, IA technology should be required, and a signed operation and maintenance agreement for the alternative system shall be submitted to the Health Department prior to the release of disposal system construction permit. The O&M agreement for the alternative system shall include a requirement for testing, which should be conducted in accordance with the Board of Health protocol, and that all these conditions and approval shall be recorded at the Barnstable Registry of Deeds.
Thank you.
All right. With that agreement?
So I'm not asking to continue.
Right,
Fair
I'm
enough.
asking for a vote.
you're asking for a
I
vote.
move to accept option 2. I move to approve the reconsideration of previously approved variance conditions as requested for 10 Rainbow Way with the following conditions being met. 1, the dwelling is restricted to a maximum of 2 bedrooms. 2, no further increase in habitable space or square footage without further review by the Board of Health. 3, no garbage disposal is allowed. 4, IA technology is required. 5, a signed operation and maintenance agreement for the alternative system shall be submitted to the Health Department prior to the release of the disposal system construction permit. The O&M agreement for the alternative system shall include a requirement for testing. That testing shall be conducted in accordance with the Board of Health protocol. And 6, the conditions and approval shall be recorded at the Barnstable Registry of Deeds.
I'll second that motion.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I just wanted to let you know that maintenance is a requirement by the state, those maintenance. All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay.
I was asking about the abutters because the two women that live next door, I went to high school with, at Harwich High School, so
All right.
I said, they better not object.
So they, well, you'll be after them.
Right, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Bill.
Good night.
All right, and the next one, I'm going to open up the hearing for the variance request for proposed SDS over 2,000 GPD, Town of Harwich Regulation 1.211, 541 and 543, Route 28. Okay.
You ready?
All right.
Okay, my name is John Schneidel, I'm from Coastal Engineering. I've been asked by the Brackets to see if we could increase somehow the leaching system, actually the whole septic system, to see if we can get another. Originally, we talked about 10 more seats, but we're looking at probably 7. This is what I've come up with, so. So, flow is right now about 3,100 gallons, and so bringing up the flow up to with the 7 seats will bring it up to about 3,410 gallons per day, and basically that's 91 seats. Right presently it has 84, and then we're going to up the 7. That'll be 91 seats. There's a 2-bedroom apartment upstairs. It's existing, and then we also added the little shed that's out in the back, which is about 100 square feet. It's a 8x12 shed that they sell shirts and so forth. So the components, the concrete components are all the same. That's no different. We're not going to change those. And then we also have those BioClears that are there. Those were originally installed when that system was installed in 2004, when you didn't have a comprehensive wastewater management program, but you had a regulation that says anything over 2,000 gallons had to come in front of the Board of Health, and so it was required IA, so they put the IA in. We also did the Cumberland Farms that's down the way, and that also, again, the comprehensive wastewater permit was not done yet, so we actually put an IA system over there. I don't know if you looked at the documentation, but that area is not in a watershed area, is not in a zone 2, but what we're intending to do is keep those BioClears. The actual water quality out of those is almost, well, it is groundwater discharge permit quality. It's, it's pretty clear. I mean, it's, did an inspection, I checked the pumps, checked the water that was coming through the cleanouts, and it's super clean. Yeah. And so the system itself is very good, it's working. Again, to get the 7 seats though, we needed to put these little added some stone, 4 feet of stone in the front of the system, and then also modify the actual piping that leads from the pump chamber to those trenches. And really, I think that's really all it is. It's very simple. Again, we're just talking about doing the septic system so that we can get another 7 seats. It does meet Title V for flow and setbacks, and also the Harwich regulations. really, that's about it. It's kind of minor for what we're, again, we tried to get more seats, but this is what we can get, 7 seats.
So the establishment has more seats on site. They have a flex plan.
Flex plan, correct.
That was approved by the board. With the additional seats, I think that would be something that the board would probably want to re-review to see how they're going to reconfigure that movement of seats.
That's in the packet.
Okay, so I didn't see the.
Yeah,
the seating plan.
yeah, it should be, yeah, it was in it. I wasn't gonna address that. It's 91 seats, however, which way they work it, as far as, I got from Griffin that the system, the setup is gonna be a lunch setup and then a dinner setup. And they're gonna cordon off those seats. Let's say for the lunch setup, they're gonna remove.
So they're gonna open up more seating outside on the patio.
Yes. Yeah, that's
But it's only gonna be
Just
maximum
lunch
of the 91 at any
90
given time?
any given time, absolutely. Yeah,
So when we
The-
go in and do our seating count, we always count more seats than what's permitted, but they section off portions of their establishment. We'll shut down the dining room to open up the back patio. On a rainy day, we'll shut down the patio, open up the dining room. So there's never supposed to be more than the 91 seats. They have their way of tracking it. This is our way of approving their flex plan. So if the board wanted to make the decision, I think one of the conditions was that we have them revisit the flex plan, because we have I think 4 different charts on file right now. So if they're proposing the 2, you could accept that in your condition that you'll accept the seating chart as proposed,
And I-
not to exceed the 91 seats at any given time.
yeah, there's no date on it, unfortunately, but this is, so, probably that'd be a
Looking
nice
for
thing for.
a new flex plan then?
So this would be them providing their new flex plan.
On that,
This is considered the new
This is the new one.
flex, okay.
Yeah,
on the new one that she handed out, option 4 does state that at the bottom.
It addresses them needing to come back to you for approval, but if they've provided it in the packet, you can approve it as provided in the packet.
All right. All right, so we would eliminate,
Put in their restaurant file too, so when we go out, we would compare it.
so we would eliminate 7.
Yes,
So we still go with option 4, but eliminate number 7
you would just say as approved,
as approved.
I think is how it read before.
Okay.
I didn't notice there was 2 separate.
there are 2 separate, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Okay. Somebody want to make a motion? Any questions, other than,
Just, again, sorry, one last time to confirm, we're getting rid of number 7. I totally approve. I'm not, so we're still 91 seats maximum, no matter how they're configured within the flex plan. Nothing's changing. We're just adding additional bleaching to make the allowances for those extra 7 seats.
Yeah.
though.
And all the components, meet those the amounts for the
It would-
91 seats.
It would be the language in your original option 2. And the IA's
Striking
required, but
7.
The IA's already there. So
Okay.
you got a revised item,
you had a revised one, but if you go back to the original,
that gave you an option 4. So you would still stick with option 2. Which just includes the flex plan needing to be reviewed by the board, but they're presenting it in the packet,
oh,
so.
okay, you could still use option, this
You
option.
can still use option 2.
Still use option 2,
as-
but we're
Right.
approving the plan in the same process.
All right, all
Got
right.
it. I motion to approve the reconsideration of previously approved variance conditions as requested for 541 and 543 Route 28, with the condition that IA technology to be included in the septic design, along with the following conditions. 1, the dwelling is restricted to a maximum of 2 bedrooms, 91 seats, and 100 square feet of retail space. 2, no further increase in habitable space or square footage without further review by the Board of Health. 3, no garbage disposal is allowed. 4, innovative alternative technology is required. 5, a signed operation and maintenance agreement for the alternative system shall be submitted to the health department prior to the release of the disposal system construction permit. The O&M agreement for the alternative system shall include a requirement for testing. This testing shall be conducted in accordance with the Board of Health protocol. 6, the conditions and approval shall be recorded at the Barnstable Registry of Deeds. And 7, seating plan filed and approved and followed as provided in the packet. Seats are not to exceed 91. We have seen that seating plan with the flex plan and approved as is presented.
I'll second that motion.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. That was an easy,
Great, yeah.
that one was an easy one.
I know. I like it. Good.
That was an easy one.
All right.
All right.
It's past my bedtime, so I gotta go.
Somehow I have misplaced my D. Here we are with the D.
Okay.
Misplaced D. All right. Hold on. All right.
All right, bye now.
Thank you. Okay, next one. Going to open the hearing for variance request from Title V, 310 CMR 15.211 and the Town of Harwich Regulation 1.210 for 10 Harbor Road.
Good evening. For the record, remotely Sean Riley, Coastal Engineering, representing the applicant.
Okay.
I'm hoping this one is easy as well. We have an existing system that's 8-bedroom that currently serves the existing dwelling. There were variances that were approved back in 1994. We're coming before you with a proposal to raise and replace the dwelling, to require a request variances to the wetland, but we are increasing the distance from 65 on the previous approval to 69 feet from the wetland. We are going from 4 feet of separation between adjusted high groundwater to 5.3 feet, so a greater separation to groundwater. We're proposing to reduce the bedroom count from 8 to 6 bedrooms, so we're knocking off 25% of the bedroom count on the property, and we're also introducing an IA system component to reduce the nitrogen in the waste stream. Overall, we see the project as a benefit to the property and to the environment, and with that, I'll just open up to any questions you may have.
Okay. Carrie, was this the one we were talking about, the ejector pump?
Nope.
Nope. Did I write that on the wrong one? Okay.
They're both 10, so it's possible.
Oh, okay, okay.
So that one's not 10. This
All
one's
right.
10 Harbor.
Okay. All right, then I don't have any questions then, if that's not the issue. All right.
Yeah, after reading this one, I'm ready to vote on it now and approve it.
Yeah,
It's, everything seems like an improvement to me.
yeah, yeah, all right.
No comment.
Go ahead.
All right, then. I motion to approve the variance application and accept the proposed floor plan as presented with the addition of IA technology, thank you, with a 6-bedroom deed restriction. With the following conditions: that the dwelling is restricted to a maximum of 6 bedrooms. The gym is not to be used as a bedroom. No further increase in habitable space or square footage without further review by the Board of Health. 3, no garbage disposal is allowed. 4, innovative alternative technology is required. 5, a signed operation and maintenance agreement for the alternative system shall be submitted to the Health Department prior to the release of the disposal system construction permit. The O&M agreement for the alternative system shall include a requirement for testing. This testing shall be conducted in accordance with the Board of Health protocol. And 6, these conditions and approvals shall be recorded at the Barnstable Registry of Deeds.
I'll second that motion.
Vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay, that was E. Okay, why don't I find that one? Okay. All right. Like to open the hearing for the variance request from Title V, 310 CMR regulations and the Town of Harwich regulations for 47 North Road.
Hi, good evening. I'm Stephanie Sequin with Ryder and Wilcox. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm representing Tom Smith, who is attending remotely as well. He's the owner of the property at 47 North Road, and also the owner of the property at 52 North Road, which is the next item on your agenda. And so I'm wondering if it makes sense to discuss both of them at the same time.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it's
yeah.
essentially the
All right.
same approval for both of them, so you would just have to make sure to note both addresses.
That what?
Make note to note both addresses and any approvals that are,
Okay. Do you want me to read the variance for that one as well, then?
you can open up both hearings if you want.
I'm going to open up a second hearing for the variance request from Title V, 310 CMR Regulation and Town of Harwich Regulations 52 North Road. So we'll discuss the two together.
Okay, thank you. And again, Stephanie Sequin with Ryder and Wilcox representing Tom Smith, who is the owner of the property at 52 North Road. And before I begin, I just wanted to make sure that given the three-member quorum that we have, that how the questions that Attorney Kroll very nicely led you through, and you agreed to allow him the opportunity, if it became necessary, to get a sense of the board's position in these matters, and to give us the opportunity to request a continuation to your April hearing. We're hoping that will be available to us as well.
I would,
Yeah.
yeah, yes.
Okay, all right, just wanted to make sure. Thank you. So as I said, these two properties that we're discussing here, 47 North Road and 52 North Road, are located across the street from each other. 47 North Road has a building on it that was, according to assessor's records, was built in the 60s. There's one bedroom. The lot, again, according to the assessors, is less than 4,400 square feet. And it does have a single cesspool. Across the street at 52 North Road, that house was built in 1973. It has 2 bedrooms. It's on some 5 acres of land, but a good portion of that is wetland. And that has some sort of a converted cesspool system where we're not exactly sure what's in the ground there. So we are here requesting local upgrade approval to upgrade these 2 systems. I've been dealing with these 2 properties for several years. I don't honestly know how much involvement the current board has had. So I just want to, kind of bring you up to speed and quickly, hopefully, because it is late, go through a brief history of how we are here tonight. So in coming up with plans to upgrade these 2 systems, the issues that we have to deal with in this location, we've got proximity of the Herring River and the adjacent bordering vegetated wetland. The 2 properties are entirely within the 100-year flood zone, and we have shallow depths to groundwater. Based on our soil testing, the estimated maximum groundwater level is only about 42 inches below grade. And on top of that, we have very limited space on the property to either, any kind of a proposed system. Back in 2019, the previous owners had the 2 properties for sale. and hired Ryder and Wilcox. They went through the process of developing plans to upgrade the two systems, get approval so that they would have something in hand for marketing purposes. So at that time, I was under the impression, our biggest concern obviously was with number 47, which is the smaller lot and surrounded by wetland and river. At that time, we were under the impression that trying to develop any kind of a shared system where both properties would be served by a system on 52 was not a viable option. The reason being North Road is a town way, and it was thought that it would be extremely difficult, if not impossible, to get approval to put a private septic pipe under a town road, that there was some extraordinary approval process that was going to be necessary. So not having that option of having a shared system and having practically no room to work with on the property at 47, the decision was made to get approval to put in a tight tank at number 47, with the idea that there was no feasible alternative. So in May of 2019, the Harwich Board of Health granted approval to install a 1,000-gallon tight tank at number 47 North Road, and they approved a conventional Title V system for the two-bedroom house at number 52. Shortly thereafter, in November of 2019, Mr. Smith bought both properties. There were, after the sale of the property, there were, because the Board of Health variances are only granted, have a very short lifespan. There were, I think, at least one and maybe two reapplications for those, the variances to be extended, essentially. During that time, Mr. Smith thought about and looked into the shared system some more. And what he had hoped to do, because he has 5 acres at number 52, he wanted to look into the possibility of putting a system much further back on the property. He thought that possibly the land further back from the road had more upland, and you could possibly get something further away from the wetland. He had hired someone to flag the wetland, do some survey work, and unfortunately it turned out that that really wasn't going to end up with a better system. But at any rate, what I'm trying to explain, the process, the history, and how it, you know, has taken a while, as you know, to get back to before the board to this point. So after sort of exhausting that other option of maybe some other location that might be better further from the wetland, the decision was made to stick with the more or less the plan that had been approved previously by the Board of Health as far as the conventional system on number 52, but to expand the size of the leaching system from 2 bedrooms to 3 bedrooms, and to connect number 47 to that system and have a shared system for the total of 3 bedrooms. Tom contacted the highway department, and much to my surprise, but nonetheless was given permission from the highway department to put a force main, a private sewer line under the town road. So kind of changed what we thought would be allowed. So what's now being proposed is a shared system of a 1,500 gallon, 2-compartment septic tank, 1,000 gallon pump chamber, and a raised soil absorption system that is constructed using plastic units. It's by putting it in a raised system, we're able to maintain at least 5 feet of vertical separation between the bottom of the leaching system and the estimated high groundwater. I think we've maximized the distance to the wetland. The closest corner of the leaching system is 89 feet from the wetland, so we're just looking for an 11-foot variance. And then, you know, we're having the pump chamber on 47, which will pump the effluent from that building into this shared system. So in order to accomplish that, the waivers that we are requesting from the board in accordance with local upgrade approval, they're on the plan, they're in the letter that, or in the 2 letters that I submitted, and I'll go through them now, starting with the variances from Title V requirements. The proposed soil absorption system is 6 feet from the west side property line and 6.5 feet from the front property line, where 10 feet is required. So we're looking for 4-foot and 3.5-foot variances. Because of the shallow depth to the groundwater, the pipes going into and out of the septic tank and pump chamber under Title V, the bottoms of the pipes are supposed to be at least 1 foot above the high groundwater elevation. We're not able to maintain that much separation. The septic tank is between 0.2 feet and 0.45 feet above the ground. No, I'm sorry. We're requesting 0.2 feet. This is very confusing. I'm sorry. Requesting 0.2 foot and 0.45 foot variances for the septic tank inlet and outlet pipes, and 0.5 feet and 0.75 feet variances for the pump chamber inlet and outlet pipes. So basically they're anywhere from about 3 inches to 10 inches above the groundwater, where they're supposed to be 12 inches above the groundwater. So they are above the groundwater, just not the foot that's required. Under Title V's requirements on pumping to a septic tank, they recommend not pumping more than 25% of the total design flow to a septic tank, based on 110 gallons per day flow from the 1-bedroom house, and the 220 gallons per day flow from the 2-bedroom house. The percentage of flow coming out of the building at number 47 and being pumped to the septic tank is 33% of the total flow. So we're asking for a variance to allow 8% more than Title V allows. I want to clarify a little bit. Title V does allow pumping more than 25%. They don't recommend it, is how it's worded. And if you're pumping more than 25%, there are certain other design requirements. So I just wanted to point that out. Next, on the capacity of the leaching system for the 3-bedroom total flow, we're required to provide 330 gallons per day capacity in the leaching system. We are with these Cultec plastic chambers come in, predetermined, they're 4 feet by 8 feet. So you have sort of set increments that you end up with in your design and in your flow. We're proposing 8 units that give us 327 gallons per day versus the 330 gallons per day that are required. So we're asking for a 3 gallon per day reduction in the required leaching capacity. If we, in order to get over the 330 gallons per day, would have to add another unit that would take up more space, get us that much even closer to the wetland. So it just seemed to make sense to use the 8 units and just have a little bit less in the capacity. And under the Harwich Board of Health regulations, we're requesting a variance to allow, your regulations prohibit 2 dwellings to share a single septic system. So we are requesting a variance from that restriction. And then also the proposed soil absorption system will be 89 feet from a wetland where your regulations require 100 feet. So we're requesting an 11-foot variance from that requirement. And the building sewer at number 47 North Road is approximately 6 feet from a wetland where you require 50 feet. So we're asking for a 40-foot variance from that requirement. I think that is it. Yes, I will take a break and be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I'm going to let Carrie, this was the one, yeah.
So the health director and the plumbing inspector and I talked about the use of the ejector pump, and we have some concerns with the ejector pump. While they are requesting the variance for the flow to eject, that's generally not to serve another single-family dwelling. You generally see those in basements pumping up and out, sometimes to a garage to service a bathroom above a garage. And our concern with it serving another single-family dwelling is the retention. If the power goes out to this property, where's that sewage gonna go? If they have family or if they decide to rent it and the people don't know that it's on an ejector pump and start flushing the toilet and running water, I think you're gonna have bigger issues with the use of the ejector pump than,
There's no backflow prevention on it.
it's gonna come up.
Yeah.
It's gonna come back up through the piping.
So, looking at this option 5, where it says the revised plan submitted showing a pump chamber instead of the ejector pump. What's the pump chamber?
The pump chamber is what you see on the plan on the other side. It's essentially another tank that the pump is set into. It's larger than these ejector pump basins in that they have some retention to them, where if the power goes out, there's requirements for it to have 48 hours worth of retention. For a 1-bedroom dwelling, that's not a very large tank that would be required.
Yeah.
Or 200% or whatever the language is, but that would be our concern
So,
in regards to just the use of the ejector pump versus the pump chamber. The pump chamber would most likely require further variances to site it because the lot is so restricted.
yeah.
So they would have to come back.
With
for
the
further
revised.
variances if the board wanted to see
Yeah.
those revisions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
I
that's where
refer
you,
to the engineer if Stephanie has any other input on the use of the ejector versus a pump chamber. But that was our thoughts, is if the power goes out over there, you're serving a single-family dwelling. You're not serving just a bedroom across the street or a room above a garage where you can have other facilities to use.
Is there any, like, backup power sources that could be used for such a small item like that?
If they were to like required to install a generator, that would be, I think, the only backup power that would be an option for them.
Hi, if I could interject, Tom Smith, the owner of the property. Backup generator would be fine, I don't have a problem with that. But you could also have backup battery on the system as well, and it's used all the time. It's a minor situation in the overall, and I'd be happy to install that as well.
So if I'm under the understanding, Mr. Smith, you'd be willing to install a generator and a backup battery?
I would do both. I would prefer just a backup battery, but I would be happy to install a generator as well.
Okay.
My thoughts would be a generator.
However you see fit.
What's the lifespan on the battery pack for those, if they're running?
Lifespan depends on the battery, but you have an alarm on all these systems, and the alarm will go off if the battery isn't working or the system isn't working. So you know exactly when it happens and how to deal with it.
And anyone occupying the building would have to be made aware that if, obviously if the power goes out, there are things that have to happen and have to not happen.
Right, there's
is this
alarms
gonna
that go
be-
off. When the system isn't working, there's an alarm that goes off, and it's not just
And they can be
to the
reset.
homeowner.
They can be silenced.
It's to the house itself, and it's almost like an alarm on a house.
Are you planning on having this be a rental property?
No, I have no plans for it to be a rental property. I just want it to be secure and solid no matter what I do.
Because that would be the other use, is if it's being utilized by family, they obviously can,
Yeah.
it's easier for him to accommodate family than strangers renting, and we could make that a condition if he went for a rental density permit. They have to get approval from us
If they
usually,
would,
so.
all right, if they would want to rent it, they'd have to come back for approval. Okay,
I'm sorry, who are you speaking to? Me?
No, sorry, I was speaking to our director over here.
Oh, okay.
I guess a couple of key points then. One, the additional tank to provide the additional backup just in case. Given that the area is very susceptible and in wetlands, I would like to see, to be perfectly honest, all three of those things in place. I would like to see the additional tank as a backup, the 200%.
You would design with a pump chamber, so you would put the
So with the pump chamber.
system in a larger concrete tank as opposed to using the ejector pump.
I-
The purpose is higher retention, so you could have more flow dump into that. They could have the option to have that pumped out if there was an emergency and if it was rising versus
Okay.
just this.
So then if, it's really one or the other then, it's not that and it's either having the generator and a backup battery
Or the ejector or the pump.
or having the other.
I think,
Under the circumstances with the wetland being where it is, I would like to come back to this next month with something that, whatever, I would like to see one or the other of those conditions being met, either having the additional field or having both a battery backup and a generator backup.
Well, what if I was to agree to a tank? It seems like that would work for you guys as well as
Well, they still would have to come back with
a
variances.
backup generator or a battery. I agree to that right now. I have no problem with it.
So the
All
pump
I-
chamber, I think, would
My
require
only
further
concern is
variances.
to keep that river clean and to keep, I have a vested interest in that property. And I want the best for that area. I think that's a good idea and I have no problem with that.
When they requested the 1,000-gallon tight tank, they had other setback variances that went in place with that design, so
It
we
would still have to
probably
come back
to-
next month
we would
with
have to
the request for
revisit
different
revised
variances.
plans, Yep.
Okay.
And they may need to re-notify abutters where they would be modifying the variances requested.
Does that sound
Okay, I'm
acceptable?
sorry, I don't understand that. Can you explain that again to me?
So if you were to add the pump chamber, which I think is what you're suggesting,
Right,
the placement of that, where you had the setback variances that were approved with the use of the tight tank,
mm-hmm,
unless Stephanie thinks she could cite the pump chamber without the need for setback variances, but I think that I'm just going on based on citing 1,000-gallon tight tank, you had variances that were requested with that review.
You did, but are you suggesting that the proposed, what we're currently proposing as a sewage ejector basin be increased in size, not to 1,000 gallon, right? You're not asking for that.
I think they're looking
You're
for
ask-
some retention, some further retention other than just a basin and ejector pump.
Yeah.
Okay.
Either further
And-
retention or
Yeah.
the addition of both a battery backup and a generator backup.
So we can either enlarge the storage capacity of whether you call it a sewage ejector or a pump chamber. So we can either enlarge the capacity of that or provide a generator and backup battery for the pump. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So this one is the same type of environmental variances too as the other one that required IA technology. So this has the wetland setback, groundwater separation, just to bring that up as well.
Right, so if we were looking at that option 5, I don't know why I'm thinking that.
I'm sorry, I don't know what option 5 is.
No,
Yeah, I'm not.
It hasn't
We're
been read
talking
yet.
between ourselves.
yeah, hold on one second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
So that was the one we added, the pump chamber, increased size and pump chamber. So you could change that language to say the battery backup and generator as opposed to the requirement for the pump chamber.
Okay.
All right, does that also,
That includes the request for IA
and that
technology as
request,
well.
the request for the IA? All right, so then that would
But
be,
again, the board can vote however you see fit. It's the same type of environmental ones that you saw before.
So we would ask for option 5, but including revised plans are submitted with either the pump chamber or the generator and battery backup.
Yes.
So option 5, but with the amendment to 1.
yeah, that one would have to be different. All right? So
Yep.
Okay, so, just to clarify, we're going one way or another. We're going either the pump chamber or a battery and generator backup. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, and we can't do that tonight. We can't approve that tonight based on Stephanie putting that into her plan and getting that approved by the Board of Health and
It's so long
whoever
as
The
there's
health
no
agent.
further variances that would be needed to approve the plan.
Okay, can that be done tonight? So Stephanie can put that plan together and bring it to the health agent? Is that correct?
Yes, so long as there's no further variances that would be required.
So the only difference is
Okay.
if they need, with the pump chamber, if, that's if Stephanie can fit in within the variances that are already there, the pump chamber. If the pump chamber needs changes to variances,
Then-
then it will have to be resubmitted to the board for vote.
And if the board board's gonna require IA technology, that might change the size of the components, so.
Okay.
All right, and the IA would be required based on,
So we can't pass it without.
So we can approve it under the variances today, but if there are further variances that need to be required, it would need to come back.
Okay, so if I understand this correctly, originally there was a tight tank that was approved, correct?
Correct.
And if the pump chamber is smaller than that tight tank and can fit into the property and we can utilize it, that would be acceptable to the board? Is that correct?
In lieu of the generator and the battery backup.
Yeah, I understand that. I just wanted to clarify the specifics of it
but then that's,
for myself personally.
Yeah.
and then you're saying that it would need an IA.
If you decide that it needs an IA, that is usually the recommendation when you're within 100 feet to the wetland.
All right,
I want to see the IA,
Yeah.
absolutely.
yeah,
You're right on Herring River.
Yeah.
There's groundwater close by.
all right, so then we're looking.
Okay, so that's a completely separate issue, correct? We from what we're talking about, the IA is a completely separate issue, which I'm okay with as well. I just want to know where we stand at this particular juncture.
And I think the board is getting ready to make a motion.
Yeah. Yeah. if you-
Okay.
You want to, go ahead, try it?
Do we want to allow them the same option as everybody else? I think that would be fair for allow them to hear how it will be worded first.
Yeah.
That sound good to you,
That would be
Thomas and Stephanie?
appreciated.
All right, so I'm just gonna kind of read it, how we would motion it. And if you have a problem with this, we can put it off for a later vote. But what would be proposed at this point is to approve the reconsideration of the previously approved variances and those conditions as requested for 47 and 52 North Road with the following conditions. One, that revised plans are submitted showing either a pump chamber instead of the injector pump on 47 North Road.
Not either, not either.
Yes, either the pump chamber within the variances that are already allowed, or a generator backup and a battery backup. Two, the dwelling is restricted to a maximum of 3 bedrooms.
Okay.
3, no further increase in habitable space or square footage to either dwelling without further review by the Board of Health. 4, no garbage disposal is allowed. 5, innovative alternative technology is required. 6, a signed operation and maintenance agreement for the alternative system shall be submitted to the Health Department prior to the release of the disposal system construction permit. The O&M agreement for the alternative system shall include a requirement for testing. This testing shall be conducted in accordance with the Board of Health protocol, and that conditions and approval shall be recorded at the Barnstable Registry of Deeds. Does that sound amenable to you, Thomas and Stephanie?
It does to me. It does to me. How does it sound to you, Stephanie?
Yes, I just have 2 comments. The first, you started out referencing revisions to the previously approved variances. The previously approved variances have expired, so you're actually looking at this new, fresh, just a little technicality. And
Yes.
I don't think I did in my letter mention, and on the plan, there is proposed additional habitable space in the 2-bedroom home at number 52. When you said no increase in habitable space, I wanted to make sure that we are, with this application, asking for additional habitable space on the 2nd floor, but with no increase in bedrooms, obviously. But otherwise, we're happy with what you're proposing to move.
That is the additional habitable space was included in the original variances. So that would, the addition of habitable space to 52 North Road is already included there.
Proposing a 2nd floor on North Road eventually.
Yeah,
So that's what they presented in the package.
but
for
that's already been presented and is included in
I
that.
don't think the increase in habitable space was presented for 52 before because there wasn't a shared system being proposed. We've only seen 47. Am I correct, Stephanie?
There were variances granted for both properties.
Okay.
I don't know, certainly with the first variance, the first round where the previous owners were just, getting it approved so that they could sell the property, there was no plan to increase the habitable space. I don't, Tom, maybe you know better. But there have always been two, sets of variance applications. I just don't know when or if the proposed second floor expansion was ever included in any of the renewals.
Technology.
I want to include IA regardless, absolutely.
Yeah.
The only thing I would suggest in your motion is that you tie the deed restriction to 2-bedroom in the main dwelling and 1-bedroom in the cottage, or
So 1 bedroom in 47 and 2 bedrooms in 52.
correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. I have no problem with that.
I would try to include maybe the expansion of the second story in your decision as well, so it's clear that what's being approved by you tonight.
Yeah,
Are we all amenable to the expansion of the second floor?
yeah.
Yep.
Because there's no increase in bedrooms.
Right,
No,
all right.
that's correct.
Under those circumstances, I motion to approve the reconsideration of previously approved variance conditions as requested for 47 and 52 North Road with the following conditions. 1, that revised plans are submitted showing either a pump chamber within the approved variances or a backup system with a backup generator and a battery backup on 47 North Road. 2, that the dwellings be restricted to a maximum of 3 bedrooms, which would include 1 bedroom in 47 and 2 bedrooms in 52. That no further increase in habitable space or square footage to either dwelling that there is no further increase to either dwelling without further review by the Board of Health. That no garbage disposal is allowed. That innovative alternative technology is required. A signed operation and maintenance agreement for the alternative system shall be submitted to the Health Department prior to the release of the disposal system construction permit. The O&M agreement for the alternative system shall include a requirement for testing. This testing shall be conducted in accordance with the Board of Health protocol, and that the conditions and approval shall be recorded at the Barnstable Registry of Deeds.
Second that motion.
Vote?
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, well, thank you all very much. I appreciate your attention here. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
I would like to thank you as well. I appreciate your concern.
Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas.
Okay, let me get this one out of the way. All right. Where am I? Okay.
We're on H,
Oh, wait till I get myself.
which should be quick.
All right, next on the agenda is we have to close that hearing.
No, you closed it with
voted.
your
We did,
motion.
right, we did, all right. All right, I'm gonna open the hearing, a show cause hearing for 10 Old Country Road.
So this is the one, you have the update. They have come into compliance. We've received the Title V inspections as requested.
All right,
We can make a motion to remove the item from the agenda.
all right.
All right, motion to remove this item 6 from the, 6H from the agenda.
I'll second that motion.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's H. All right, now where are we? All right, we're down to the last one. Patiently waiting.
Rotation.
Okay, I'm going to
We live around the
open,
corner, so.
I'm going to open up the
I don't blame
hearing
you.
for 31 C Street.
It's a long one
Cape
tonight.
Sea Grill is requesting the Board of Health review and support an application to the State Plumbing Board for a variance from the State Plumbing Board Code 248 CMR 10.10. The applicant is proposing to apply for a variance for the number of bathroom fixtures in order to increase the sitting capacity to match what the septic system is already designed to accommodate. I already read this myself, all right.
It's wordy.
Okay. You guys have any questions?
I do not.
No, because I already, oh, wait, I'm on the wrong one. Hold on here a second. H, I want I. All right. I didn't think that looked right. Okay, and I did get this one. All right. Any questions?
I mean, other than, I see that the septic system's already designed to accommodate 145 seats.
Yep.
It's fantastic. My only question, and I don't think it's even related to us, is that with 145 seats within the confined space, does that meet fire code and
Oh, so
everything
the
else?
whole, no, so
That's-
this whole plan is to actually, we had COVID the last couple summers and we had outdoor seating. So the whole plan is we'd like to come back probably in front of you all at some point because we're gonna increase our seating capacity to include the outdoor. Before we can do that, we had to make sure that, which would just be for the summer months, that we are going to, because we're at 110 seats for the last 21 years and no problems. So if we
So
go up to
110
100.
seats inside is what it's
Inside.
been.
It's what it's been, it's always been, and we never even thought about going outside until COVID, and, you know, Harwich was amazing, and do what you can do to get open. We have a patio, and it's amazing, and everybody wants to sit on the patio, so we'd
And
like
if
to.
we can specify that those additional seats be restricted to outside seating, I
This
got
isn't, I
no
don't think,
problem with it.
this is just the variance, this isn't
Yeah, so
the
you're seeking
seating.
a variance from, they're seeking a variance
This is
from
just
the
the plumbing.
plumbing code.
From the
They
plum-
just, part of that process needs our approval.
Yeah.
What
We'll be back for the seating.
they're looking to do, I think, is increase the building occupancy itself to allow for more seats, so they're not outside of what they're permittable to do under our regulations. You just have to support the petition and
Okay.
go to the
Yes.
board for the plumbing, for them to get the plumbing variance. And that would be the plumbing board, state plumbing
The
board's
state-
determination.
They-
whether they want
Yeah,
to
they're
grant it
asking
or
to
not.
go to the
Yeah.
State Plumbing Board.
But we had to notify you before their meeting on April 5th.
And they've
Gotcha.
always been good with being at the capacity that the building occupancy permits, even though their septic allows for more,
All right,
just to put that out
Sounds
there.
good to me.
okay. Any further questions?
I don't have any.
I don't either. All right,
I would motion to approve, to support the request for a variance from the Massachusetts Plumbing Code 248 CMR 1010 at 31 C Street and instruct the senior health agent to contact the state regarding no objection by the Board of Health.
I'll second that motion.
vote
Aye?
Aye.
aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have his email address? Because I've been contacting him.
If you wanna write it down, I think I emailed you, some of our, we've realized today that some of our stuff is bouncing into the junk mail with our new software,
Okay.
so we'll look
Because
for
I've
it.
been contacting him, he says he's okay, he has everything he needs to go to the meeting, but then if he can just get the email that you guys have.
Yeah, and we'll have a letter drafted tomorrow for you and with our support.
Okay, because tomorrow's the deadline. And he had the notification, and he got that, I emailed him yesterday.
Yeah, stop by in the morning.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Thank you.
very much.
Take care.
Okay, that took care. All right, next thing on the agenda is the report of the healthcare director now.
Okay. Try to keep it brief, I know everybody's tired, but we got, some exciting news for the PHE grant. I attended a meeting on the 13th for that's the Public Health Excellent Grant for shared public health services across the Cape. The group voted to approve the funds to move forward with additional inspectional software, so it will help us to reduce paper, help to streamline our inspection process, make it more, I guess, universal across the Cape for those who want to take part in the use of the software. The group that they're going with, we actually already hold a contract with for our restaurant inspection software. It's called Relevant. They've been really good at helping us set up, so we're excited to be able to expand our services into the pools and housing. So we're hoping that that gets off the ground and running by the start of the season, but we'll see how the group moves forward with getting that stuff to us. Right now, again, we're already using the restaurant inspection software, so we wouldn't be funded in that piece of it as we're already paying for it, but they would add, like the pools and housing to our package. They also voted to change the name of the group from the PHE grant meeting group to the CAPE Public Health Collaborative, so CAPE PHC. With our OpenGov software, we've rolled out a lot of our new applications and made them available to the public. Stephanie is currently tweaking the last and final ones. The department has put a lot of hours and time into building these applications and making sure that they're operating appropriately for the users. We open ourselves up to any feedback. If anybody gets any feedback from the public on the software, we would love to hear it. The last one to go live is going to be our Title V inspection reports. As of April 1st, we will no longer be accepting any new applications in Acela and will be primarily operating in our OpenGov software. We're excited about that. We think that will really help streamline the process, especially when it comes to renewal season. People can apply right online now, so that'll make it a lot easier for them.
Wow.
In addition to the extensive hours staff has put in ensuring the success of the department to complete the software conversions, we've completed the following tasks as outlined in the update from septic inspections, food inspections, witnessing a test holes, plan review, building permit review, Title V inspection review, well permit issuance, ZBA referrals, in-house variances, and a list of others.
Yeah, all right. Okay, I want to hold on to that. Okay, thank you for that.
Yes, you're welcome.
I'm going to keep this. All right, we're moving on to correspondence. I just want to point out that the correspondence is this DEP. Please keep that and look at it, because this is going to have, it's got to do with private wells and the forever chemicals. And these are just, I guess, like, you wouldn't call them recommendations, like, or would you? Like,
It is a recommendation for proposed regulations, so it's a model regulation, so there's something that the board could adopt if you see fit. You could take them and make modifications as you see necessary.
we wouldn't necessarily be requiring, but I want you to take a look at this and keep this, so that when we have the board, we can have a discussion on this, because this is also going to, it's going to have a bigger, the forever chemicals have a bigger issue.
I know a lot about the PFAS, because the
Yeah.
structural gear that we wear at
Yeah.
our house, so.
So yeah, this has to do with testing of the wells, and then it'll go further than that, but, keep this one, keep that.
This was a nice, with Katie providing you the list of our regulations that could use some revisions and updating.
Yes.
The wells was on there, and this would be a good model to start to look at, because it is extremely inclusive.
Now, and that brings up, I didn't know if anybody gave any thoughts, whether they were interested in working on any of these. I don't know if it, and I'm not saying you have to, I just didn't know. I didn't want somebody to think I was the only one doing that you couldn't do it. So if you're interested, you are welcome, and if you can't, that's okay too. So I just want you to keep a hold of that and this. And other than that, we have permits. All right. Was there anything in particular? I don't see any
No, everybody was either a straightforward renewal or a new license that has complied with all of the necessary requirements.
Okay, so do I have a motion?
Motion to accept the permits as listed.
I'll second that motion.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, you do. I motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
Both.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right.